are listening to This is Oklahoma, hosted by Mike Hearn, telling stories of Oklahomans and those that have made it their home.
What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another episode of This is Oklahoma. Mike Hearn here, your host, back with another episode, family-related episode today. Sat here with my brother-in-law. Still, that sounds weird to say that.
Absolutely.
It's weird, isn't it?
I regret that decision every day.
Yeah, this man is totally responsible for why I'm in the States. And I'm sure we'll get into that story.
While you're still here.
Still here.
Yes.
Yeah, true. While I'm still here. We'll definitely get into that. But apologies it's taken this long to have you on the podcast.
Yeah, I was kind of waiting around, wondering if it would ever come, but it finally did. I'm happy to be here.
So if somebody asks you who you are, give me a little bit of Chad introduction for everybody listening.
Oh, man. My name's Chad McKamie. I'm a realtor here in Oklahoma City with Keller Williams. I've got a incredible wife that we've been married for 14 and a half years and two crazy kiddos that know how to light up my life every day. Emery is 6, and Cohen, we call him Coey a lot. Coey is 3. So, born and raised here in the Bethany, Yukon area, and man, Oklahoma's home to me.
Yeah, and we met because you played golf at SNU, and obviously when I was at SNU, I was referred to you by Dr. Clutch. Now that we can call him Dr. Clutch because he actually has his doctorate.
He did. He got his doctorate this weekend.
If he's listening, Dr. Levine from SNU, shout out, because without him, we wouldn't have met. So, yeah, we met because of that. And then, wow, that was almost 4 years. That was 4 years ago. That was over 4 years ago.
I have no idea.
Yeah,
I mean,
it was 2015. No,
it was definitely.
It was 15.
Yeah, because Cohen's 3 and you were around for his birth. So, yeah.
Wild times. But yeah, like I said, you've always been, you went to SNU.
So, mom and dad came up here. My mom and dad have been together since 8th grade. They broke up the summer after their 8th grade year because my mom was taller than my dad. We're a short family. I'm the tallest one in my direct line at 5'8". So yeah, there's not a whole lot of hope for my kids.
Yeah.
But no, they got together back after that freshman year after my dad grew that summer and been together ever since. They came up here to go to SNU. It was BNC at the time. And they just loved the feeling of Oklahoma. My dad went to OU Dental School down here in downtown and just really wanted to call Oklahoma home and raise a family here. Mm. And so we stayed here. He's been in practice. He actually sold his practice. It's probably been almost 3 years now. To a company out of Chicago, but he still works for them, which is really hard for him to actually be an employee for the first time since probably since he was in high school, maybe college. But yeah, so we've been in the Bethany, Yukon area. We go to church at the big Nazarene church there in Bethany, right next to the school, and it's been home for us.
Which growing up, like having dad work for himself, and then you going to SNU. And then getting a job out of it, and now doing what we do now, sell houses. Like, I'm sure, when I can't imagine working for somebody else. It drives me nuts just to have to do a little bit of work for somebody else.
Yeah, so I actually always thought that I was going to be a dentist. And then I got into an anatomy class my senior year of high school, and we watched a video of them doing a facelift on somebody. And I literally turned green. I mean, Kendal was in the class with me on the next class. So it had been about 45 minutes since I had stopped watching the video. And she was like, "You are green. Like, you need to lay down." So Kendal's my wife. We've been together since high school. So that's why if you hear me refer to Kendal, that's who it is. But yeah, so I immediately knew that from there on that I was not going to make it through dissecting a cadaver or anything in the medical field. So, so then I thought I was going to be an accountant, and I got into accounting 1 because I've always been good with numbers. I got into accounting 1 at SNU and barely made it, squeaked out a B, and thought, dear Lord, there's no chance for me here on that either.
But you were good at Excel.
I can work my way around Excel.
Yeah.
But real estate's always been an interest to me. We met one of the Keller Williams agents here. He came and spoke. He's an SNU alum. Came and spoke, and so kind of kept his number back in my back pocket for a long time. And 4 years after I graduated, I met with him and came on here.
Yeah. And before you came here, you worked at Chesapeake?
Yes.
And I'm sure no one could even pay you to go back there because it's a completely different lifestyle, isn't it?
It's man, I've got nothing bad to say about the company. It just was not a good fit for me. I knew from day one that I was in trouble.
Yeah.
That it was not a good fit. And 4 years later, I was actually fired. Not like a layoff that you get a severance package or anything like that. It was
You bought too many company golf balls, you need to leave.
It was a straight up firing. No, actually, they owe me 24 golf balls because...
If you're listening.
Yeah, if you're listening, you still owe me 24 golf balls because I bought them the week that I got fired and I never got them. And
what time of year did they fire you?
it was May 28th.
Okay.
That I got fired. No, sorry, May 26th that I got fired.
So you were buying golf balls for the summer season.
Well, they had the Chesapeake logo on them, and I'm a little kind of a ball snob. So those were actually just going into a shag bag.
Okay.
So I had a full shag bag of Chesapeake logos
That's
that
fair enough.
I wouldn't play,
Yeah.
but I had a full shag bag of Pro V1 Chesapeake logo.
Definitely. That's something every golfer prides himself on is how good their practice bag is.
Absolutely.
Right?
And mine are tip top.
Yeah. I don't practice at all, but I have a good practice bag.
You better believe it.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm a grinder out there.
So, and well, now Coey's out there all the time too, and that's the perfect excuse to be out and practicing hitting balls when your son's like, Papa, we need to go putt.
Yeah, both kids kind of got the golf bug. Cohen definitely more than Emery. But man, they love it.
Yeah.
And I would much rather them be outside than tied to a screen.
Oh yeah.
Emery may have played one video game, and it was at her cousin's house for his birthday.
Mm-hmm.
But besides that, I mean, we try and really limit the screens because I just think there's so much more to life than just being tied to a screen.
Yeah, I was listening to a podcast a couple of days ago, and the guy was talking about his kids, and he was asking about what is he getting for Christmas? What is he getting his kid for Christmas? And he said that everything I get them, it revolves around two things. Either revolves around hard work or sports. So he bought them his kid loves he's a skid steer and stuff. So he bought him electric skid steer. So he's either gonna be plowing dirt and lead and snow, or he's gonna be hitting stuff. So I thought that was kind of good. I'm not a dad, but I think that's kind of cool concept to just have those two rules because you're gonna raise kids that work hard and be outside and are competitive.
There's a kid. I think he's still a kid that I kind of follow, and his dad used to pay him to read self-help books. Mm-hmm. His name was Caleb Maddox, and he kind of lights the world on fire. I mean,
he's 16, 17, he's a millionaire or something?
Yeah. He's a public speaker, and man, I'm all for bribing my kids to better themselves.
Oh, yeah.
And so, man, I'll absolutely pay them to read books.
Yeah, I haven't heard that. That's a really good concept.
Heck, my dad paid me to work out for a summer because he just saw us getting lazy over the summer. This was before we could drive.
Yeah.
So I couldn't go to the golf course every day.
Yeah.
And so he's like, well, how about if you work out 4 days a week for the whole summer, I'll give you $500 at the end of the summer. I think it's $500.
Yeah.
And as a 14-year-old,
You're steal. Done.
Heck, as a 36-year-old, you're going to pay me to go work out for the summer 4 days a week. I'd do it.
Yeah. So growing up, golf was always in and around then.
I mean, it really kind of took off. I'm a product of the Tiger craze, the 97 Masters. I've started watching the Masters every year in 95. And still to this day, I watch every Masters Sunday with my dad. Mm-hmm. I'll go over to his house. my mom kind of pampers us when I come over. It's almost like you're back in college when you go home for college and you don't have to get up off the couch.
Yeah.
So Master Sundays are always over at my folks' house watching it with my dad. It's something that I do that on that, and then U.S. Open Sundays, which also happens to be Father's Day. So it's cool now that I've gotten to bring my kids along because they know it's Master Sunday. We're going over to Pop's house and we're watching the Masters.
Yeah.
So I mean, I really started to fall in love with golf in '97 with Tiger.
Mm-hmm.
I grew up playing baseball and basketball. Like I said, I'm the tallest one in my family.
At 5'8".
At 5'8". So I got cut from my 9th grade basketball team because he literally said, "You're just too short." Now, to be fair to the UConn 9th grade basketball coach in 98, 99, I was maybe 4'11", maybe 5 foot. So I was short.
Yeah.
I had
What position were you playing at this point?
At this point, the only position I could play is point guard. I was so small, but I really didn't have that good of handles.
Yeah.
So, you could work on your dribbling. I had a good shot. It launched way up in the air because I had to get over everybody. But so he even told me, he's like, you got a good shot.
Yeah.
We can work on your ball handling, but you're just so short.
You need
You're
6
just
inches.
too short.
Yeah.
So I needed some stilts, and that did never come.
Yeah.
So after I got cut from the 9th grade team, this was 98, so Tiger was really starting to pick up.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, man, you don't have to be tall to play golf. So I started playing golf, and man, I call it my one addiction, and because I could just eat, breathe, and watch.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, with the kids, I don't watch as much. Like I said, I don't like them watching TV, so I don't watch as much as I used to. But every major, every cup week, we just had the President's Cup, so every cup week, the TV is on.
Yeah. So that, like I said, naturally moving to golf because it was just, like I said, you didn't have to have a specific body type to play golf. So you were going to like Hefner and Lincoln and all that kind of stuff, and kind of had mates who played golf as well.
What's it? Have mates?
Yeah, played golf as well.
Mates.
Yeah.
Yeah. See, he can only.
I can get away with that.
Mates.
Yeah. So 98, 99. Who would you go to the golf course with?
Man, just some kids from the neighborhood that were starting to get into golf. They got frustrated with it really quickly, and I just, if you ever played golf, it just takes one shot to fall in love.
Yeah.
And hopefully you can find that one shot again before you start to hate it. So I remember my first round, it was out at Hefner South.
Mm-hmm.
It was number 5, the par 3, which is like 162 yards or something like 165 yards. What's a 13-year-old? You have no idea how far you're going to hit it, or at least I didn't in your first round. So I teed up a driver and smashed it. Just off to the right of the green, chipped it up to about 7 feet, made the putt.
Yeah.
So I made a par on my first round of golf, and I thought, I'm in.
This is it.
Now, I hit driver on a par 3, but still.
You made par?
Yeah, I made par. It doesn't matter.
Yeah,
how
exactly.
you get there, as long as you get there.
Yeah. So what was like kind of high school golf and golf at, through like late 90s and then 2000s to when you then leading up, I guess you obviously got better and thought, well, I'm naturally going to try and go to college as well.
Yeah, I mean, so I was never great. Still am not great by any means. But so in 9th grade at UConn, I tried out for the golf team. Didn't make it. But they didn't have a 9th grade team. They just had the varsity and junior varsity. And at that point, it was fall of 98, so I'd literally been playing golf for a year and a half.
Yeah.
So that kind of motivated me to go ahead and take it serious. So that next year, I went from, 105 or 110 down to to mid 80s within the year. So as a sophomore, I was I actually transferred to Putnam West.
Yeah.
It was just a better move for me and my family.
Closer to home?
It was closer to home, even though we never moved. We never moved houses, but a lot of my friends from church went there, and so actually that's where I met Kendal.
Yeah.
So we ended up started dating that next year. But I didn't actually get good enough that I thought a scholarship was realistic until the summer after my junior year. And Coach Halsey at SNU at the time, I had a connection with him because his son-in-law is also a dentist and worked alongside my dad for a while. And so I'm really thankful. I mean, I've told Coach oftentimes, and even just recently, how thankful I am because he provided me an opportunity that really nobody else would have.
Right, same for me too.
Because, my senior year, I had one win, but it was not anything to write home about.
Yeah.
And then really any other tournament in my senior year of high school, I didn't really place very well.
Yeah.
But Coach gave me a opportunity, and even when I got to SNU, I was never really that good. But I knew my role on the team, and that was to be out there and to be a good influence on other teammates and in the classroom, and so I knew my role, and I loved every minute of my golfing career. So I do have a high school golf story, and with one of your former guests, Phil Bryan.
Yeah.
So my last hole,
which we've had some reviews about that podcast and said he wasn't the person that he actually is. He was
no,
very, very.
Phil was way too PG.
Very PG on that podcast.
Or PC, sorry.
PC,
and PG.
Yeah.
So Phil and I played against each other in high school, and we became friends in high school. And so my last hole of my high school career, I knew that we weren't going to make it on past regionals. And it was a par 5 at Kicking Bird, number 9, up the hill.
Uh-huh.
Well, I reached home in 2, and Phil was awesome. Everybody knew who Phil Bryan was. He was a sophomore that was,
pretty good at it.
Lighting it up already, yeah. So Phil taps in for a birdie. And I make an eagle putt, and everybody knew that Phil was around.
Yeah.
And so we were late in the groups for our schools. So I make a 25-foot eagle putt, and I'm thinking, where's my standing ovation?
Oh yeah.
I get a few golf claps from my own teammates. And Phil taps in. I think he tapped in for birdie.
Yeah.
And there were probably 40 or 50 people around.
Cheering and all that.
And they go nuts for Phil. And he taps in for a birdie, and I'm like, where was this whenever I drained my eagle putt? But so I'm not bitter about that.
Not bitter about that at all. It's been, 20 years?
Oh, yeah.
Almost. No, but I going back to SNU and Halsey giving you that opportunity and definitely giving me the same kind of opportunity too. It takes a special kind of person to do that for people, and I think we both owe a lot, and we both know how much we owe to Coach, and he doesn't get the recognition he deserves. I think. He gets a lot of praise, but I think he's very humble in the way that he takes his praise too.
Yeah, Coach. Like I said, without Coach, I probably don't know you.
Yeah. I'm not here without him.
Without Coach, I don't have some of my very best friends that are lifelong friends. Levine that we mentioned earlier. Several other guys that I meet on a regular basis that will be a part of my life and a part of my family and my kids' life for the rest of our lives.
That's one of the best things about college golf and just being on a team. You're with 5-6 guys who make the team regularly, and you just, especially if they still live close, you always maintain that relationship and always stay friends with those people. And now you find yourself playing golf with these people still.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Whenever you're going to play golf, it's either going to be with those core group of guys outside of Trimble because he's traveling all the time. But everyone else, it's everyone. It's good to have everyone still around.
Absolutely.
I do miss that because I don't have everyone in my team kind of went everywhere else.
Well, but you guys had a lot of internationals. We didn't have any internationals when I was playing.
Yeah.
Really, Oklahoma Christian and Oklahoma City were about the only two. OBU had one, maybe two internationals. But OCU and OC were the only two schools that really had any. And I played against Rian Gibson, and Rian is obviously on tour now.
Yeah. And then who was that guy from OC who went OCU that went on tour?
Tyron.
Yeah, him. Yeah.
Tyron Van Oswald. He was there. He was a senior my freshman year. But like I said, I was never that good. So I didn't travel a whole lot. But I knew my role, and I loved every minute of it.
I think, like, for people, listening, or parents who are listening who have kids that think, what sports should I get my kid into? I think golf is probably one of the only sports where you grow as a person pretty quick. You have to grow up really quick. It's individual, but also you get to play as a team. Like, it has pretty much everything you could think of.
Well, yeah, and as a kid,
and you're not going to get
especially as a kid, if you're any good, you get asked to play with some older men, and you learn some responsibility and how to communicate with older people and more people of authority, and it's a great networking opportunity. And plus it's something, like I said, I'm 36 now. There's no way when my kids are, let's say 5 years along the road, so they're 11 and 8. There's no way I can go out and play a basketball game with them.
Yeah.
Or I can't play baseball with them. I'd probably throw out a shoulder. But I can go play golf with them.
Yeah.
And it's just, plus you're outside, you can take your wife along with you, and it's just something that golf has been a huge part of my life since, like I said, since 97.
Yeah, same. Like, I wouldn't be here without it. I wouldn't have met a lot of people without it. But you mentioned we just had President's Cup. A lot of controversial stuff going on at the President's Cup.
Yeah.
Even before going into it with the whole Patrick Reed thing. What do you think of that? The whole, I don't know. Like, he's not exactly the best image for U.S. golf with the whole bunker thing.
The whole bunker thing, so my take on the bunker thing is we saw one perspective.
Yeah.
Everybody has their own truth. Sometimes the truth is the same, but from the perspective that I could see, and the only one that really anybody saw other than Patrick Reed himself, is from behind the ball. And it's very obvious that he moved sand. How close to the ball that was, only Patrick knows. But do I think he should have been penalized for it? Absolutely. Do I think he handled his statements correctly? No, I don't think so. At that point, I think you just take your medicine and say, man, even if you didn't have a brain fart, but you just say, man, I had a brain fart.
Exactly. Own up to it. Because he didn't, even react with the fans. And obviously, President's Cup, they're in Australia. The Australian fans don't hold back. They're ripping him for everything that he does. And instead of just being like, okay, great, thanks, I get it. I admit it, I did something wrong. He fights back and starts acting like a complete clown and, pretending to dig the green up and all this stuff. And his caddy ended up punching somebody or fighting somebody. I don't know. Whatever. I don't know if that's true or not, but that was something that was a headline. Yeah,
it's one of those things that, so my dad always, and if you've ever met my dad, I know you have, obviously. My dad has always been the one that says, let your game and others speak for you.
Yeah.
And so, do I always follow that? No. Is it always in the back of my mind? Absolutely. And so, I think it would have been better had Patrick Reed just let his game speak for itself.
Yeah.
And let
Which that didn't work either because he only won what? Smashed in every round.
Yeah, he was 0-3 in team play, but then he shows up,
he did
shows
show
up
for
singles. And really,
which is not a surprise.
Really well. No, the guy loves the pressure.
Yeah.
And if we go back to my golf career, I folded like a cheap chair under pressure.
I folded a few times. I know that. I had my fair share of But I think everybody who kind of has some success, obviously you got to fail first to get there, right?
Oh yeah, I just fail a lot more often at the pressure situation. I mean, even our buddy Trimble will, call me. How'd you play today? Well, I actually played really good. He's like, of course you did. It was a scramble, and there was no pressure. Or of course you did. You're playing with Kendal, and that was it.
Yeah.
So,
like, is this the first year? Obviously, Tiger was playing captain. Is that the first year that's ever happened?
No, there's been a couple of them.
Okay.
Kendal Erlin was one.
I didn't know that.
Back in, I don't know my
he put
golf
on
history, but I mean,
he put on a display.
He did,
down there.
and it was fun to watch.
Yeah, especially like that last kind of match. I mean, a lot of people don't know that the person he beat in the last match, Abe Anser, graduated from OU.
Yeah, I think if you could get Abe on here, that'd be incredible.
That would be awesome.
I mean, he kind of created a little controversy in I don't know Abe, and I certainly don't know, didn't hear the call or the question that he was asked.
Yeah.
But my take on at least from what he had said was that he was like, yeah, I would love to play Tiger.
Right. Like who would?
But more out of man, what a great opportunity. I'm going to win or lose.
Yeah.
I'm going to come out a much better person, a much better player. But obviously Tiger heard I'd love to play Tiger. Like, give me Tiger. And so,
was it Stephen Ames who'd made that mistake back in? Was it Stephen Ames?
Yeah, Stephen Ames
made that mistake.
Stephen Ames kind of called out Tiger and said that he was beatable based on the fact that Tiger was hitting it all over the lot, which at the time he probably was, but Tiger also beat him 10-8 that year in the match play.
Which, I mean, Anser's like burst on the scene. He made the Tour Championship. He's played really good golf this year. He's like the best player in Mexico, I think, in Mexican golf history. And like a lot of people don't really know that he's from OU. But
yeah, I think he was a junior college transfer.
Yeah. And I know Phil kind of mentioned it too. Like he's a freaking stud.
Well, I mean, he's got a short game, which he puts more spin on the ball around the greens than almost anybody in the world, at least that I've seen.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
And if you just Google his like Abe Anser short game, like it'll impress you whether you're a golf fan or not. I mean, just the fact that he can get the ball to stop that fast.
It's soft porn for a golfer to watch him pitch. Like it's ridiculous.
If you want to go that far with
it,
it
is.
Okay,
like it's just not. It's just not fair how he does it. I don't know how he does it, and I don't know if that was someone at OU who taught him how to do that, or someone who in Mexican golf taught him how to do that. But yeah, it is pretty awesome to watch him pitch. And especially that golf course too. Like that golf course was rock hard, completely different to what the US are usually used to. Like I don't think that they did a great job of highlighting the golf course, but it looked amazing.
And I think you and I talked earlier in the week. I'm sure we did. That the Ryder Cup, having the Tour Championship the week before the Ryder Cup, and then you fly all the way over to France. And then this week, you've got the Hero Challenge in the Bahamas right before the President's Cup, and you fly all the way to Australia. I mean, there's just no way to be rested and ready to go, especially with the time change.
Uh-huh.
So I think that the PGA, there's probably a PGA Tour alongside the PGA of America.
Yeah.
That do those, that would be responsible for that, but I think they need to look at the scheduling because it sets you up behind the 8 ball before you even get there because you're exhausted. I mean, everybody that watched the opening ceremonies of last year's Ryder Cup could see how exhausted Tiger was. And you just knew that he was going to get killed because he had nothing left in him.
Yeah. It's strange like that, isn't it? That, I say strange. All this stuff always happens for TV. All the tee times and with the President's Cup, it was good this year that it fell on primetime TV for the US because it's usually like, what was it, in Korea or in Japan or something. It was it was early hours in the morning. No one really wanted to watch it. But, and the same with, like I said, the Ryder Cup. It's always been pretty decent to watch. But, yeah, like with them traveling around, and it's much easier for the Europeans coming here, because I know that for myself, than it is to fly home. Like it's easier to adjust when you go there than it is to come back. But the good thing about the Europeans now is that literally 80% of the team plays in the States.
Right.
Like that's I think why a lot plays a lot of factor in how successful they've been the last 10 years of the Ryder Cup,
Yeah.
last 4 or 5. I mean, he got destroyed in where was it? Up north 2 years ago, 3 years ago, 4 years ago, when it was.
When the U.S. won?
Yeah, where was that?
When at Valhalla, was it?
No, it was I might have been. It was up north somewhere, but they got destroyed because you look at the people in that team, and there was a bunch of rookies on that team who'd never played golf in the States.
Yeah.
Like Danny Willett, I know he won the Masters, he hasn't done anything since. And then Sullivan.
Didn't he just win a couple?
He won
months
recently,
ago?
yeah, but between then he hasn't done
Yeah, he
anything, is he? There was Danny Willett, there was like Sullivan, and then Chris Wood, who never plays in the States, and Matt Fitzpatrick, who does very now and then, but he had a terrible week.
He's starting to now, though.
Now he is, yeah.
Yeah.
What do you think about this coming Ryder Cup? What do you think's coming up, and all the people? I mean, I think it's gonna be good. That golf course does not look easy.
No,
Whistling Straits.
I think no. I think. I mean, you and I will obviously have some sort of bet.
Oh, sure. I think we're gonna win because the golf course and the weather up there plays to back home. It's tight and it's on the lake and it's gonna be cold.
Yeah, I mean, when they had the PGA up there, I mean, the PGA was in August, the year Jason Day won, but when it was in August, so just a month earlier, but it was like 95 degrees.
Yeah. Was that the year that Dustin got screwed over because he grounded his club in a waste bunker?
No, that was a couple of.
That was somewhere else.
Yeah.
But Jason Day won because he was hitting the ball, hitting 2 irons, 280 that day, right? He was hitting it stupidly far.
Yeah, I mean, that was the year that Spieth had the chance to win.
Right.
3 out of the 4.
Uh-huh.
And, I mean, his runner-up. But, God, I really hope Spieth can find his driver because right now it's,
He's hitting it off the planet.
I think I saw that he was hitting like 50% of his fairways. And, I mean, I might only hit it 250, 260 these days, but I can find a fairway. But yeah, I'm like LPGA Tour swing speed.
Well, what do you think as an American golf fan? What do you think of like the way that I don't know the U.S. team has been managed, the way that they've been kind of going about their team thing recently, or I guess in the last 4 or 5 Ryder Cups? Because Europeans have outside of that one time like destroyed them.
Yeah, I think that they need to look back at what Paul Azinger did, and whether or not that was has been followed really well. I don't know.
Yeah.
But I don't know why Paul Azinger hasn't been a captain again. Everybody loved playing for him.
Did he play the one that when Faldo he beat Faldo?
Yes.
Anthony Kim was on the team.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he did a good job, really good job.
I mean, at that point, we were pretty undermanned. I mean, Tiger was out, and that was kind of in his prime.
Anthony Kim came in and destroyed Sergio that day. Yeah.
I mean, we had Boo Weekley and Kenny Perry on the team that year. The only reason I remember that is because it was in Kentucky, and they were from Kentucky.
I love going back and looking at stuff like that.
Yeah, you got Boo
Seeing
Weekley
who's on the team.
riding his driver down off the tee box.
Yeah.
Just firing up the fans. I mean, that's what's cool about the Ryder Cup, and is that you don't have to be a golf fan or a golf nut like I am to pull for the red, white, and blue.
Yeah.
And really to pull against the Euros as much as I love to say that in front of you.
Oh, yeah, I get it all the time.
But, I mean, there's a guy that's kind of a polarizing character for the Europeans that I love him every year or every week out of the year except for Ryder Cup week. And Ryder Cup week,
the postman.
I just want to punch him in the face. And yes, it's Ian Poulter, and he's a great follow on Instagram.
He is a good follow.
He's got all your cars that you could ever want.
He's
He
shut down his clothing company because he wasn't making any money though.
Yeah,
it's a real shame.
But he's a family guy. He likes cars and likes golf. I mean, that's kind of right.
He's
up
like a
your
man.
alley,
He's a man's
so.
man. Yeah, he is my favorite guy right now, for sure. He's a huge Ferrari fan, and he's not shy on social media, is he? Oh yeah,
He built a museum for all of
right
his
next to his
Ferraris.
house. He bought the lot next to his house. That's when you know you're winning at life. I'm just gonna buy the lot next to my house in, I think it's Isleworth is where he's at,
Yeah.
right? Down
Well,
in
and
Florida.
what's cool is he's really big into, I think it's called Dream Flights or whatever. But
Yeah.
he brings people over from the UK. He just had I saw on Instagram, they just had a big fundraising dinner, but he held the dinner in his museum of cars. And it was just, I think he's awesome.
Yeah. A lot of people think he's a complete
outside of the
penis,
1 week
don't
out of
they?
it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I think it goes back to Medina, right? That was like the big turning point in his career and why everyone started to really hate him in the States, is because he turned around that Saturday afternoon at Medina.
Yeah, I mean, with him and Roy
making all those putts.
Yeah, coming down the stretch, it was just.
Yeah, that was magical. I really enjoyed that day.
I'm sure it was heartbreaking for me.
Yeah, I was watching that with at the Broughton family house with Tim and Ray, and Tim couldn't watch it on TV. He had to go and watch it on a different TV. And it was funny because the TV that we were watching it on was like 2 or 3 seconds faster than the one that Tim went downstairs to watch it on. So he could hear me screaming like as Poulter's putt is on the way in on his team. Yeah, he was not happy with that moment.
Yeah.
No, but that's one of the best things. Like for me being out here, it's like I get to have this banter with everybody because I'm very outnumbered, but the Europeans have had some fairly decent success.
Kind of back it up lately.
Yeah, they have, and I think even the Ryder Cup at Paris. I had some doubts because the U.S. team was stacked.
Yeah, but the way they set up that golf course, and that's smart on the Euros part. But the way they set up the golf course, having it tight and thick rough, it just plays straight into the.
Well, I don't think like the Americans do a good enough job of going over there either and like preparing for that stuff, right?
No,
like Justin Thomas was the only person I think who played that tournament.
Yeah, and if I was a Ryder Cup captain. Which obviously that would never happen. But if I was a Ryder Cup captain, that would kind of be a requirement.
Oh,
if you were
has
in
to
the
be.
top 20, 25, then you better get your rear end over there and play the golf course before. And even though it's going to be a totally different setup, you're still playing probably the same winds.
Mm-hmm.
And then you're obviously getting a look at the golf course and the greens and everything like that.
Talking about foreign golf courses and great golf courses, is there any place that you haven't played yet that you really want to play? And if it was, I say that there's going to be a lot of those.
Oh,
if
I was going to say, we could be here for a while.
Let me change that question. If there's one golf course you could play and it was the only golf course you could play for the rest of your life, what would it be?
My first gut is obviously Augusta National. That's the one course I haven't. Well, there's several golf courses, but if I could, out of all my lists that I haven't played that I'd love to play, Augusta's right at the very top.
Yeah.
Number 2 on that list would be St. Andrews, the old course.
It's not that good.
I know you say it's not that good. But
the scenery is amazing. Playing down 1 and 17, 18 is fantastic. The rest of the golf course is like, it's okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, you're right. The setting's amazing.
But yeah, they say Augusta looks fake because the grass is so good. And I know that they only get it that good for 1 week out of the year, and it doesn't look the same the rest of the year. But just to be able to, it's kind of the same thing. Where the golf courses is what it would make out to, what I would expect it to be or not, just the hallowed grounds of Augusta and the 6 green jackets that Jack won there, and the what is it, 5 now that Tiger's won?
Recent win was nuts. I didn't think it was going to happen. There's probably going to be a movie made about it.
Yeah, as a sports fan, not just golf fan, as a sports fan, you couldn't help but grin and get chills because it was just the scene, the comeback from the injury where he didn't think he was going to be able to play. He was hoping to be able to play with his kids, much less play golf at this level. And then to see him, have 3 wins in the last 18 months and then play as well as he did at the President's Cup.
And then the coolest scene, I think, it was cool for me, and I'm not even a dad, but to see him and talk about that's the first first big win he got to do in front of his kids, right? And then he walks off the green and he's crying his eyes out, and his kids are there, and every dad in the world's tearing up.
So you obviously know this, but I'm a crier.
Oh yeah, me too.
And so, yeah, I absolutely had some dirt in the eyes during.
It was a cool
as
moment.
He was walking up and giving his kids a hug, and being able to experience that with his son and his daughter. I mean, obviously his son was right there in the thick of it, walking side by side with him. His daughter was a little bit behind, but I mean, just to be able to do that. And as a dad, your kids are obviously always proud of you. But to be able to give them something to really remember, to be proud of, I think it's awesome,
Yeah, it was a huge moment, wasn't it? And he's like, I'm a little younger than you, but I still grew up watching Tiger play. And then, you have that period in the middle where he's just kind of like off the rails and he's not doing things that he should be doing.
Not even playing
golf. And then he has like all this surgery and then to come back and be where he's at now.
He gets the shanks with the chips. I mean, we all...
It was rough to watch.
We all saw that where
Yeah.
I think he was in Phoenix.
Yeah, it was terrible. Well, he gets to now to like, and I think I heard this on a broadcast somewhere, but saying like how happy and how much he's enjoying himself now. Like you never would have seen him like this in the 90s because he was so focused.
No.
But now he's focused, but he also enjoys himself.
Yeah, I mean, the little clip of Finau that came out this week was great because it was old school Tiger in between the lines or in between the ropes. But yeah, I mean, so if you haven't heard Tony Finau played with Tiger in the last group of the Masters, and they said good luck on the first tee, and as they're walking down 7, they hadn't said another word to each other, and so Tony was like, man, I guess I better say something. So hey Tiger, how the kids, how the family? And he said Tiger just turned, looked at him, and said they're good.
Yeah.
And just turned back and never. He said, hey, we didn't say another word until I said congratulations after he putted out to win the Masters. So
killer instinct.
Yeah, I mean, and that's something that very few people have, and thankfully I see it in Patrick Reed. If he can kind of channel it, I'd really appreciate it better. But
I think the world would too.
I'd see it in Justin Thomas.
Yeah.
I think Justin Thomas goes for the throat.
Oh yeah.
I actually see it in Spieth too. Anytime Spieth is up in a match, he
hammer down.
Very rarely gives up, a multi-hole lead.
Yeah.
If we can just dial in that driver.
Yeah, I know, and on that point, like I am excited for this year's Ryder Cup, and just like the US team seems to get better now at their foursomes and doubles kind of golf.
Yeah, I mean, well, and another person that absolutely has the killer instincts is Koepka.
Oh yeah, he's brilliant.
I mean,
huge fan.
I love the fact that he says what he feels he needs to say, and he also has the game to back it up.
Yeah.
And I really appreciate the fact that he didn't say all this stuff before he had the clout on tour.
Yeah, and that's what he said, didn't he? Like, they asked him, why do you talk so much now? And he's like, because I've done enough to back it up. Yeah. Like, I have the right to talk about it because I've won, was it back-to-back US Opens and almost 3 in a row, which is mental. But,
what's he have, 4 majors? Is that right?
I think he has 4, right? He has two PGAs, 2 US Opens. Yeah. We could sit here and talk golf forever.
In a short time frame, too.
Well, yeah, it was like, 3 years?
Yeah.
Maybe
4.
Yeah, it was 3 out of, what was it? It was 3 out of 5, I think it was. And 4 out of 7, something like that. Chaos.
Yeah.
Anyway, I know we could sit here and talk golf literally for the next 4 hours.
Absolutely.
And you wouldn't get any work done.
No.
So, what's happening in your world next year? What's coming up? What's plans for 2020? Do you have any golf trips coming up? Is there anything you want to go do?
Yeah, I've got a lot that I want to go do. First and foremost, I'm taking Kendal on a cruise that actually won at a golf tournament.
There we go.
So that's at the first of the year. I think you and I are going to the beach together with the family. We're going to
Florida, right?
Yeah.
Somewhere June, July.
That'll be sure to take the golf clubs there.
Definitely.
I think we've got, I'm hoping, hint, hint, for a trip down to
Austin, right? Yeah.
Yeah, Austin Golf Club for a guys' trip that we did a couple years ago. And then I think we'll also do another golf trip with a couple of my old teammates. Again, this is kind of goes back to Coach Holsey.
Yeah.
that really connected us. But there's a couple of my teammates we used to get together every year. We had a few years off, and then we did it again this last year. That we just go, and last year was just in Dallas, but we played 4 rounds in 2.5 days and had a blast.
Yeah, and Kendal doesn't mind you being away for just 2 days, not being away for the week playing golf, like some of the golf tournaments I've had to go play.
Yeah, like I don't know how Taryn has put up with it.
I think she really enjoys a week off.
Yeah.
And she doesn't listen to this anyway, so it doesn't matter.
That's true.
But no, I'm looking forward to next year. Definitely some of the golf trips we're going on. We have to find a decent golf course to play in Florida, which I'm sure we can find one. There's plenty down there. And yeah, we need to play more golf, because we didn't do a good enough job of it this year.
No, our golf course.
Partly my problem.
Golf course that we normally play.
Was under
some renovations.
severe construction. But no, this has been awesome. I think definitely we need to have a podcast pre-Ryder Cup and then post-Ryder Cup.
Oh,
maybe even a live.
I'll definitely do the pre.
Yeah.
Depending on the results, we'll see what we think about the post.
All right. For everyone listening, how can they follow you? How can they get in touch? If they don't want to buy a house from me, how can they buy a house from you?
Yeah, honestly, I don't know why you'd want to buy a house from Wesley anyways.
They just sound good. That's it.
Yeah, he just sounds funny when he talks.
Yeah.
No, you can get me on probably the best way is Instagram, which is just my first name and last name, so it's just Chad McKamie. And that's probably the best way, other than an email and a phone number, and I don't know if I want to give you those.
Anyway, awesome. Well, I appreciate you sitting with me for 45 minutes and taking 45 minutes out of your day.
We didn't even get into how you got here.
I know.
How you and I got together.
We can save that for another podcast,
So,
I'm sure. But no, I appreciate it.
Yeah.
And definitely hope everyone listening enjoyed this one, especially probably the boys, 5 people who've listened to this to listen to our golf stuff, and I'm sure they want to be on as well. So if they do, we'll have to sit around the table and just chat golf stories for an hour. But yeah, appreciate you coming on, and guys, we'll catch you next episode. Cheers.
Thank you for listening. We are inspired by those around us and hope that you are too. Make sure you subscribe to this podcast on your favorite podcast platform and leave us a review so we can keep telling your stories. For more great Oklahoma content, follow This Is Oklahoma on Facebook and Instagram.